So you probably clicked on this video wondering what the hell is going on here. And maybe you asked yourself questions like, are all rooftop tents this problematic? Is this just some crazy over-the-top influencer with too much unnecessary gear? Or, this guy must be an idiot for dealing with all this when he could have just bought a ground tent for a fraction of the price. Well, hopefully by the end of this video, I've answered those questions for you. And if you've been thinking about buying a rooftop tent, I strongly recommend you give this video a watch so maybe you can avoid some of the problems that I ran into while acquiring multiple rooftop tents. So buckle up because this is not a short story. It all begins with plans for a road trip, and I finally pulled the trigger on a rooftop tent that I've been eyeing on Marketplace for the last few weeks. It was the Tepui Highbox. I was attracted to this one because of the hardtop's quick and easy setup, the substantial cargo space, and it was new in box, so I assumed it would be free of problems. Even though I did run into a few issues like broken ladder and crooked stitching that left the whole tent askew, I did love this setup. During the winter months when I wasn't camping, it became my ski carrier and I never had a reason to take it off my car. Until I found out in the late spring of 2021 that all Tepui hardtop models had been recalled due to highway safety issues. This unfortunate news caught my attention and I took the warning very seriously. I removed my tent from my car immediately on June 7th. My rooftop tent was picked up by 1-800-JUNK on June 15th. And I figured things would move just as quickly with the following steps, but I was wrong. Because I was not the original buyer, I didn't have a receipt, so I was only offered a replacement. And because Thule no longer sold any hardtops, I could only get a soft top, so I asked for the most expensive one, the ruggedized Autana 3. Thule had a dedicated phone line and agent to handle the Highbox recall and replacement. Overall, I thought that part was pretty great from a customer service perspective, but I feel like when taking away someone's property, you should aim to replace it as soon as possible. If that was the case, they would get 5 gold stars for the way they handled this. However, this is where things started to go south. I was told my replacement would ship out within 24 hours of the Highbox being taken away. After reaching out twice, I did not get my shipping confirmation until June 26th, which is more like 10 days after the pickup. And due to labor shortages at the freight company chosen to deliver my new tent, it sat at the local terminal for weeks. I did not receive my replacement tent until September 1st. That's correct, almost 3 full months from when I was instructed to remove the tent from my vehicle. That is insane. It became even clearer to me that getting these things off the road to protect themselves was the top priority, and doing right by the customer was only a legal requirement. While I do applaud Thule for actually recalling a dangerous item, a design that other brands are still selling today, I am still really disappointed with my overall experience. Most other freight companies could have delivered this within a reasonable time frame, but Thule decided to choose some discount budget trucking company. I immediately sold this tent on Marketplace brand new for a considerable discount, but not a huge financial loss on my end given what I originally paid for the Highbox. And to find out how I turned lemons into lemonade, subscribe and stay tuned for my next video where I recycle what I can from that Highbox. With all that behind me, I was ready to buy a tent brand new from a reputable brand with a solid warranty. On August 30th, I ordered my CVT mount hood during one of their online sales. Felt like the natural upgrade from what I had, and so I was happy to leave Thule and Tepui in the past. The crossbars, which shipped separately, arrived in like 2 days, and the tent itself arrived a week later on the 9th, and both shipments were handled by FedEx. Now this was fast freight shipping, and at twice the price of Thule shipping rates, that's kind of what I was expecting. And also, at $333, this should be enough to have it shipped safely. Well, I was wrong again. The tent arrived with about 1/3 of the box missing, falling off the pallet, and flipped down on the side, which covered most of the warnings on the box. My father-in-law and I looked over the areas of extreme package damage to find nothing of concern. However, right after FedEx left, I peeled back the last piece of plastic to find a forklift stabbed through the entire roof of my tent. hindsight, I can't believe I overlooked this, but we were so focused on the area where the box was obviously damaged. I just didn't expect a forklift to go through one of the handle cutouts in the box. Sorting things out with FedEx and CVT was an absolute nightmare and a part-time job that I really didn't expect to be signing up for when purchasing a brand new tent. Now I want to keep this brief because in the end I thought CVT's customer support was outstanding, and I don't want it to sound like I'm bad-mouthing them because in the end they did right by me. But the main thing that rubbed me the wrong way was that the punctured hole in the roof of my new tent kept being referred to as cosmetic damage. Cosmetic damage is damage that does not affect the function. However, I would strongly argue that a hole in the tent is functionally damaged, and especially one that needs to handle all weather conditions when attached to the top of my vehicle. The entire time I felt pressured by CVT to just take money from the FedEx claims department, but all I really wanted was a new tent like I ordered. Long story short, my damaged tent was picked up on September 20th, and to avoid a repeat of these shipping issues, my replacement tent was put on a large pallet to a local overlanding shop, the Spirit of 1876, which I highly recommend you check them out. Which brings me to my second and final piece of criticism for CVT. If $333 can't ship it safely, charge $500 or whatever it takes to bomb-proof the package like Thule was able to do. Seriously, what's another couple $100 to get the job done right when your customers are spending thousands? But in the end, I picked up my new tent number 4, on September 29th in perfect condition, and I really couldn't be happier with my new setup. If you were considering this tent, stay tuned for a review. So, am I an influencer with too much gear? No, I wish. I paid for all this stuff myself, and I'm just telling my story as a real customer. Are all rooftop tents problematic? Unfortunately, these problems that I ran into are somewhat common regardless of brand and design. Quality control is often an issue with these overseas imports. Just Google a brand name and the words damage or defect, and every company seems to be getting the same sort of customer feedback. And I know these companies are working hard to combat these issues. Just know, going into your purchase, that not every stitch is going to be perfect, and other little things like that. Any issues you deem larger than that, I personally wouldn't accept. Am I an idiot for still owning one? Maybe, but I don't think so. I guess the current state of the world has desensitized me enough, and I'm just used to everything going wrong nowadays. Regardless, owning a rooftop tent has been one of the most fun purchases I could have ever made. It's opened up all types of adventures, it's significantly more comfortable, and the views you get from your bed are second to none. If you are in the market for one, I'd still say it's absolutely worth it if you plan to get out and use it. But here are some tips for you when you do decide you want one. If buying used, inspect it so you know what you're getting and know that you likely won't be covered by the original owner's warranty. Buy locally if possible. I wish CVT's website had a dealer locator because I would have probably avoided this whole mess if I knew there were shops nearby with the same tents in stock. I might even suggest finding local shops and seeing what brands they carry before getting your heart set on one. If shipping is your only option, I'd recommend refusing delivery if you see even the slightest amount of questionable damage to your delivery. Seriously, it's not worth your time. So there you have it. There's my story. That's how a whole summer of camping went down the drain. Ultimately, these things are just material items and life moves on. But let me know in the comments if you have had similar issues or if you've had any questions about the things I discussed. And if you found this helpful or entertaining, give it a like too. And I'll see you in the next video.